And now it's time for Pacific Rim. So, one of my favorite movies of the list that we have here so far was Pacific Rim, and also, I would believe, the longest movie that we have here. It stars, for all I care about, Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
He's probably the worst thing in that entire movie.
What?
You are, oh my God. You are a horrible person.
I'm just saying. He,
like, I really
all right.
the Green Man.
Watch like Godzilla 98.
Yeah, that's true. He makes a valid point. I'm baffled by it. Sam, we'll start with you. What was your initial reaction to Pacific Rim?
Well, I never had seen It's Always Sunny, but I loved that guy in this movie. I thought he was really funny. And him and the little crippled sidekick I thought were really funny.
Wow. All right.
True Detective Season 2.
The monsters looked fantastic. The battles were really awesome. Yeah, my initial reaction to the movie was that I really enjoyed it.
Ian, your thoughts?
So I first saw this in theaters, and when my initial reaction to it, I actually did not like it, and I thought it was kind of overrated, and I initially was not going to rewatch it before the podcast, but I decided I needed to see if my opinion was any different. And it's really weird because after a second time around, I enjoyed it a lot more. I think the movie has its problems story-wise, but in general, this is a great monster movie, and you can just tell, like, from every frame of the movie that director Guillermo del Toro just... Hello?
You're still there.
Okay, we're still there.
Hello?
Anyway, you can tell from every frame of the movie that Guillermo del Toro is just so in love with his stories and his characters and the monsters and the robots and everything. This was, I think, what also made me appreciate more was seeing the new Godzilla movie and realizing that Pacific Rim did right everything that Godzilla got wrong.
That's a long list, Ian.
Yes. But anyway, I still think there are some little flaws in the story, but I'm really happy I saw it again. I really enjoyed it. I think this movie is also hilarious. The funniest part is when Gottlieb runs up to go into a toilet to go throw up, except the toilet is in the middle of a field filled with debris and the toilet is not plugged into anything. And the movie has like very little subtle moments like that, which makes it worth revisiting more than one time.
Tom, what was your opinion on Pacific Rim?
Dace, man, I've been on this planet for almost 24 years, and every day of my existence before that movie came out, I had a fever. And it turns out the only cure was more Rocket Elbow. I love this movie unconditionally, even more. Sorry, Cloverfield, but Pacific Rim is, in fact, the love of my life. That was the most fun I've ever had in the movie theater. Everybody was cheering. Everyone was clapping. I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, so I was super happy to see Charlie Hunnam in the leading role. It's the kind of movie that doesn't get made. I don't know how it got made. Honestly, it got made because Guillermo del Toro is such a big fan of that kind of stuff. And you can tell in the movie making that this was made by someone who really loved what the story they were telling and the genre they were telling. I just thought it was incredibly excellent.
And lastly, Gibby.
Yeah, I actually liked the movie. I loved it. It was definitely into a genre that I like. I used to watch like Epic Aliens and stuff like that, which is pretty much copy paste what this movie is as an anime. Mm-hmm. And that was like a series, and I loved it. The Japanese are very big into this, basically into this type of genre. And my only issue was, which apparently you guys liked, are the stupid scientists, which drove me nuts because of their stupid antics.
Stupid
scientists. But that would be my only issue with the movie. But you guys apparently liked.
Yeah, you're a terrorist.
Their stupid antics for some reason.
I know I'm supposed to say bias on this, but Brian, you're just stupid.
I am a genius, all right? Jesus.
Everything you think is wrong all the time.
When it comes down to this movie, I don't know why, but unfortunately it was considered a disappointment in the U.S. when it came to box office, but worldwide it did phenomenal. Why do you think, and we'll start with you, Gibby, since you know all the negative shit, that this movie didn't succeed so well in the States but did well worldwide?
It's pretty obvious to me. It's just a genre that's not well known for Americans. I mean, this is definitely a more Asian type genre with monsters and stuff like that. I mean, I can go through a ton of anime that is basically literally what this movie is, that they just basically copy pasted over. I mean, it's basically a mix between like Gundam and all that other crazy anime like that, where they're basically fighting monsters. I personally enjoyed it. I mean, I've watched, like I said, this is like a throwback to Evangelion, which I used to watch back in the mid-90s. So for me, this is not a new genre, and that's probably why I liked it. But as for Americans, it's not necessarily a genre that is well known, I guess you would have to say. And people just don't know what it is.
Okay, Sam, what were your thoughts? Why do you think it did so well outside of the U.S. and not so much here?
Well, I can't speak for outside of the U.S. since I've never fucking left the country. But I think the number one reason it didn't do well here was marketing. I don't think it was marketed very properly. Mm-hmm. I know going into it, I actually didn't want to see it. I just thought it was going to be a shitty movie about giant robots. And then my girlfriend made me go see it, and I loved it. I just wish they had I mean, the trailers didn't pique my interest. The TV spots didn't really pique my interest. And it was only because people were telling me that I had to see it, I went and saw it.
Mm-hmm. Ian, what are your thoughts? Why do you think it didn't do so well in the States?
I think I think that Americans kind of have an obsession with watching their own cities get blown up, and most of this was watching cities in other countries get blown up, so it might have been that. But in all seriousness, I think that a very big part of blockbusters selling them nowadays is that you need a big movie star. Someone like Tom Cruise, who I don't really understand why he's still a movie star, but he still is able to sell a movie. And like the main star of this is Charlie Hunnam, who is great, and I mean no offense to, but he's not a household name. But these are all actors I would want to see in a movie, but not necessarily other people might want to see. I love the fact that two of the leads in this are Charlie Day and Ron Perlman.
Yes.
We got to talk about Ron Perlman some more in this.
Real quick. I love Idris Elba in it.
And Idris Elba is in it as well. And the main actress is her name is Rinko Kikuchi, who's still not very well known, but she was nominated for an Oscar for Babel in 2006, a movie that she was incredible in, if anybody's seen it.
Mm-hmm. Tom, why do you think it didn't do so well in the U.S.?
I think especially in the U.S., I think people I think a lot of it was the marketing, obviously, but I think people saw that trailer and they thought they knew exactly what it was, and your head just turns off right away. I mean, it's the same way. How long did it take in superheroes to really break into mainstream pop culture? And we're 14 years into this wave of superhero movies. You know, so I think people see kind of giant robots and monsters and they just kind of scoff at it. And in a lot of ways, I think it's talent credentials are just ahead of its time. You know, British TV, like Doctor Who's really starting to get its claws into the United States, but it's not quite there yet. So, like, I love Idris Elba. I love Luther, but I don't think he was a draw. I didn't even know Ron Perlman was in this movie, and I was probably about as excited for this movie as you could be, which was nice because, as we were saying earlier, that it's you're just never surprised by anything anymore. But it was just such a relief to finally get to go oh and see somebody pop out that you weren't expecting.
Yeah, they treated. I remember they treated that scene like he's faced like the other way, and then he turns around like it's a big
reveal shot. But I know there's kind of this one unsaid rule about movies that if it's a big kind of blockbustery, $150 million plus movie, if you don't see toys on the shelves, that means, because toys have to be ordered like 6 months before it comes out in the theaters, that means they've decided this is a flop, get prepared for the repercussions. So I don't know what happened, what cut the studio saw, but the fact that there was almost no ancillary for fucking giant robots fighting monsters,
That's crazy.
Means it right. I mean, they were planning for this to bomb. So for some reason, no one got behind this. I'm sure that Guillermo. Go ahead, Ian.
I kind of understand why. If I could say a word.
No, Ian, you can't.
I honestly think it's because most blockbusters today are hinged on recognizable images, like you said, superheroes, reboots, like figures we know. And I guess like this genre, kaiju movie, is actually a very big genre, but it's one we don't know in the United States. So something that people don't know is not going to sell. I mean, if I was a little kid, I would love a kaiju toy or a Jaeger toy, but I think because it's not recognizable, it was hard for them. They don't know how to market. I don't think Hollywood doesn't know how to market an original movie anymore. I think that's the problem.
Ian, you're so from Connecticut.
Why do you consider this an original movie?
I mean, I don't know what. To me, I thought it was, but I know what you're. I'm not. I don't know the anime the way you do.
Well, it's not I mean, even though there's that pre-existing notion of Gundams and monster movies, it's still an original plot, an original franchise.
The original plot, the characters are something.
Right. If you go, just Google Evangelions. It is literally copy-paste the same thing, except for the fact that it's one person in the suit, not two people. Literally copy, cut, and paste. Same 5-level tier monsters. The only other difference is they spawn from the sky, not from the ocean. Literally copy-pasted. And
also, I don't know if this was on purpose, but the Jaegers do look a lot like the guy from Halo or a Transformer. They just remind
me like an old Italian mom.
What did you say?
What are those things? Is that the Transformer Halo bots? I think the idea of original is just that it's not built on a pre-existing motion picture franchise.
That's what
even if you call this an homage to Evangelion, it's not a direct adaptation of it.
I question if this has never been made, even because, like I said, this is much more of an Asian type movie. I wouldn't surprise me if the Japanese have already made a movie exactly like this.
But
because this is an extremely popular, basically theme for, especially I know Japan.
Well, they did already. It was called Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Whatever. Like I'm sure they've made like an Evangelion type movie, is what I'm saying.
I think your debate skills are amazing, for the record. I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but your whatever responses are phenomenal.
It's just I feel like it's you guys keep saying it's an original. It might be an original to the States, but it's not. I don't see this as being as an original type movie, because I can guarantee you somebody in Asia, especially Japan, most likely going to be Japan, Korea, and all that. They're definitely going to probably have made this movie before.
True, but yet your average American won't watch Japanese movies.
I know, and that's why I said I feel like it's probably the biggest downfall of it. Like once I saw this in trailers, I knew exactly what it was, and I was so excited because I love the anime series of all these.
All right, so real quick, because we're running out, we're actually at our 17-minute mark, which is, time flies. We'll go real quick on Pacific Rim, and I think we've touched base on a lot of things. We've touched on the acting, or the casting. We touched on the origins and the not-so origins, according to Gibby. Final thoughts and ranking when it comes to Pacific Rim. Gibby, we'll start with you. What are your final thoughts on the movie, and 1 to 10?
I actually love the movie. I just had a couple issues with obviously the scientists and the acting and stuff there, but I mean I actually really thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I would definitely go if it's probably around like a 8.5.
Better than Godzilla 98?
Oh, without a doubt, it's definitely better.
Okay, Sam, what are your final thoughts and a scale 1 to 10?
Final thoughts: I really enjoyed the movie. It's one of those movies that I would see if it was on TV also, and I would go out and buy it on DVD. I haven't, just because I'm a broke-ass college kid. But rating, I'd probably give it an 8.5, and I'm interested in this idea they had of I don't know how they would possibly do this, but they want to do a crossover movie of Pacific Rim Jaegers versus Godzilla?
Jeez.
Ian, you are just the worst kind of person.
Sounds like fun.
Ian, what are your final thoughts in the rank 1 to 10?
Okay, so like I said, I didn't like Pacific Rim the first time I saw it, but it improved significantly on a second watch. I think there's some problems with the story. I think it sometimes with the action it kind of peaked too soon. I think that there's some scenes that are like a little cheesy and campy, and I can't tell if it's sincere. But besides that, this is one of the best action movies I think I've seen in a really long time. I love all of the actors in it, the characters. It's a lot of fun to watch. Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorite directors, and I think he was the perfect man for this story. If I was going to rank this, I've actually been having difficulty thinking about this. I would give it between a 7.5 and an 8 out of 10.
Okay, Tom, what is your final thoughts and ranking?
I'm going to quote Frank Sinatra here and say the record shows they took the blows and did it their way. I know Tom Cruise wasn't tall enough to fit into the Jaeger piloting machine, so they couldn't get mainstream A-list stars. But this movie reminds me why I love going to the theaters. I think this should be the feeling you get every time you come out of a movie. It was just so much fun. It was larger than life. You need to see it on that big screen. It has been nothing but a fountain of endless joy in my existence. So I'm going to give it a 9.317 out of 10.
Wow.
Damn.
I just love that movie. I love Rocket Elbows. Rocket Elbows and boat swords are the most underutilized props in movies.
Yes, that sword was amazing.
Real quick, we're going to do one more round table for Pacific Rim. There's rumors that, not rumors, but the director has said that he's already started writing a second script, even though the project has been greenlit. So I'm going to go around the circle real quick. Yay or nay to a sequel? Gibby?
I don't understand exactly how they're going to do a sequel.
It's with your favorite scientists.
Okay, but how, they
because
close
they
the rift.
Camera, what happens when they attack?
They close the rift, which is basically how the series ends.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do you?
Okay, from what I'm reading,
are we going to be attacking them now?
The main idea that they're bouncing off is the fact that Newt drifted with the kaiju brain, and the kaiju brains are connected. One of the lines is they have a hive mentality. So,
Okay.
Draw your own conclusion, or that's what it says. So, yay or nay on a sequel, Gibby?
I mean, I'll watch it. I don't understand how they can make a sequel. For me, knowing the actual backstory. So, because pretty much you pretty much thwarted their attempt to basically take over that realm. I don't see where else it could go, personally.
Revenge.
I'll watch it, but I don't understand, because at least in the series, it's always, once you closed it, it was done. I guess they could always reopen it, but then they'll never stop, in theory.
Okay, Sam, yay or nay on a sequel?
I'd definitely give it a yay. I don't know if it would be as good as the first one. Most sequels aren't as good as the first one, but I would be open to seeing it.
Okay, Ian?
I would vote nay. I think they should end on a strong note. However, I would love to see a spin-off about Hannibal Chow, who is Ron Perlman's character, and his origin story. I think that would be kind of awesome.
Sweet. And lastly, Tom, yay or nay?
The coolest thing of the original Star Wars movies was that line, "I fought with your father in the Clone Wars," and what does that mean? Idris Elba's last words are, "You can always find me in the drift." And I don't know what that means, but it's awesome. So, hell yeah, absolutely, I'll fund it.
Sweet. So now it's that time of the show where we go around to all our panelists here to plug what they're doing and get their names out there for helping me here on the For Real Movie Club. So, Gibby, we'll start with you. What do you do?
Well, obviously, I'll promote the Dace Man Show every Wednesday, 8 o'clock, right here on Mega Powers Radio. You can always email me at thedacemanshow@gmail.com. And I'm probably sure I'll be back on here again at some point in time.
When I volunteer you.
Yeah, when you go, I need one more extra person. You gotta come. You got literally 3 days. Please watch all 4 movies. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. And Sam, what do you got? Sam?
Sorry, I got disconnected for a second.
It's okay.
By disconnected, I mean I muted and forgot I unmuted. I've got, now that I've graduated college, I'm going to be having to look for a job, but I'm going to be starting up Science 101 finally. You can look us up on Facebook, Tumblr if you'd like, tumblr.com/Science101blog. Yeah, just kind of talking some science shit. You need some help in courses, I go over problems, and I try to make this degree that I got worth something. So.
Ian, anything to plug?
Yes, you can find more of my reviews about movies, TV shows, other things like that. My website, The Real Deal, and the address for it is realdealblog.com. And I'll just note that real is spelled R-E-E-L. Get it? It's a pun. So Real Deal Blog, R-E-E-L, realdealblog.com. You can also find me on the Real Deal podcast. Real also spelled R-E-E-L there. And you can find that podcast on my website, realdealblog.com. You can also get it on iTunes. I host that with my co-host, Cassie Grimaldi. We recently reviewed Neighbors. That episode will be out tomorrow. And later this week, we'll also be reviewing Godzilla.
Sweet. And lastly, Tom.
I'm a credited staff writer at fanboysanonymous.com, your place for everything in the geek community. So you go there for movies, comic, video game, all kinds of reviews. I'm also an editor for realdealblog.com. Ian sends me ideas, and I make them sound impressive.
Yeah.
And every now and again, I'm a talking head on hopefully this podcast. So check out Fanboys.
Sweet. And lastly, yours truly. Follow me on Twitter at the Dace Man. Like Gibby said, check us out Wednesday nights here on Mega Powers Radio, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the Dace Man Show. Join us next month, Sunday, June 22nd at 8 p.m., where we'll be doing summer-themed films here at the For Real Movie Club. Weekend at Bernie's, One Crazy Summer, Jaws, and Stand By Me. You can also follow me, I already said that, follow me on Twitter, but you can see what we're doing on fanboysanonymous.com. Check us out at the end of June. We will be at Too Many Games Convention out in Pennsylvania. We'll be there the whole weekend with a table, so come visit. We'll have things to do, keeping it vague. And follow me at oldtimewrestling.net. Check out what we're doing. We just did our last show yesterday, and we wrestle every month. So our next show will be June 21st, so right before the For Real Movie Club. So on behalf of myself, Gibby, Ian, and Sam, my panelists this evening on For Real Movie Club, thank you guys for watching. Tune in here at Mega Powers for all our great programming, and check out fanboysanonymous.com. This has been the For Real Movie Club.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm too old for this shit.
Good day, sir!
You stay classy, San Diego.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I'm finished.
That'll do, Pete. That'll do.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hey, everybody! We're all gonna get late!
You're still here? It's over. Go home.